Hey guys, welcome back to a page in the chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige and it is time for my June TBR. June is a particularly exciting month because my birthday is in June. It is Gemini season, baby, and I'm here to thrive. So this TBR is reflective of that. I know that I'm gonna go book shopping for my birthday. I'm already thinking of books that I want to buy, and so I've kept it a little bit restrained in terms of the TBR. It is bigger than my May one because my May TBR only had 4 books on it because I thought that I was going to be very busy with assignments and my dissertation, but I ended up absolutely smashing through that TBR. I have read so many books in May. I just cannot stop reading books and then finishing them in a matter of hours. So my June TBR is bigger than the May one, but I've still kept it restrained. I'm still going to be swapping books in and out depending on if there's other books that I want to read more. But big news, big news. My physical TBR for the first time all year is below 50 books. It is now at 46 books, so I would like to continue chipping away at that. Even though I'm going to be buying more books for my birthday, I would still just like to continue chipping away at that. So all of these books are taken from my physical TBR. Some of them are random number generated, some of them I have chosen based on whether I want to read them or not, and we are just gonna keep getting that physical TBR down. We have gone from 70 something books to 46 in 5-6 months. So go us, guys. The work we have been putting in to get my physical TBR down has been paying off. So if you guys enjoy TBR's wrap-ups and reading vlogs, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. Stay tuned for future content. I upload every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday, so do subscribe to make sure that you see that content as it is landing on the internet. And do please feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Page in Chapter to see what I'm reading and how I'm feeling about those books in real time. You guys also often get to choose what I read. I do a lot of polls, I do a lot of Instagram decide stuff. You'll see when 24-hour reading challenges are happening. You know, you'll see all of that. So do please feel free to check me out there. And so without further ado, let's get on in to my June birthday month TBR. So the first book that I want to read in June, I have been saving for June. I could have read it in the sun this month, but I just really wanted to save it for either when I was on holiday in August or now. So we're gonna go with June because I can't save it anymore. And so that first book is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christine and Lauren. The only other book I have read from this duo before is The Unhoneymooners, but I did give it 5 stars. It was the only book that I could read during the great slump of 2021. We don't want to talk about that slump. That was like the worst thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. But The Unhoneymooners managed to make it a tiny bit more bearable, and I am so very excited about this. Whilst I am nervous about it being friends to lovers, which I don't typically like, sometimes I can get with the friends to lovers program. So this follows our main characters Josh and Hazel, and they have known each other since college. And Hazel is single, Josh has recently gotten out of a relationship, and so they decide to set each other up on dates, and so they go on these like double dates that the other person has set up for them, and then as they start to fall for each other, the dates get increasingly like worse and more ridiculous, and it just seems like good old-fashioned fun. It's a very short book, it's very summery vibes. I just don't really see what I could hate too much about this book. Famous last words, obviously, we will see. But my issue with friends to lovers, although this doesn't really sound like it's close friends to lovers, it just kind of seems like people who knew each other and didn't date then many years down the line start dating. But typically the issue that I have with like very close friends or childhood friends to lovers or things like that is more of a, oh, why aren't they dating? And if the sole reason that they're not dating is they don't want to ruin the friendship, that just I find that a very, very weak argument and I don't enjoy it. But the fact that Josh was in a relationship and now he is not, I think that's a good reason to not start dating someone. So I like it. I think this will be fun. I'm here for it. I've been waiting a long time to read it and I'm super excited to get to this in June. This next one I'm very nervous to read. So very nervous. If you've seen my 5-star prediction spring summer edition, you'll kind of know why I'm nervous to read this one. And that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I think this is either going to be like a 1-star book or a 5-star book, and there's probably not going to be an in-between. And I'm really nervous because I tried to read the first chapter. I just wanted to see what to read next. It was very low pressure, just read the first chapter of multiple books, see which one takes your fancy type of situation. And this one didn't really grab me in any way, so I'm quite nervous to try and read more than the first chapter. But I'm gonna try in June. I'm gonna try my very hardest. I think I'll try to read it in June, and if I make it 100 pages and still nothing, then I'll DNF it. There'll be no pressure, no stakes, nothing like that. We'll just, you know, we'll take the L. This is not the typical thing that I normally read, so it would be fair enough if I didn't like it. This follows 12 different stories across England looking at girlhood, the experience of life and being a woman, I assume. It's a kind of journey of discovery, typical contemporary literary fiction. It has won the Booker Prize and the Women's Prize for Fiction. It's, you know, it must be a good book, objectively. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I will enjoy it, and I'm nervous. But it's on the June TBR. As we are really trying to get some books off of my physical TBR at the moment, I kind of had to put this one on here, even though I don't think I'm that excited about reading it, but I need to get it off the physical TBR. And that is XOXO by XOXO. That is so many O's, I'm not gonna lie. This is a young adult contemporary, which have not been hitting for me lately. I do have high hopes, but like when I bought this, I had high hopes. I think it is actually like a beautiful cover and the vibes are perfect. I just think I have read so much adult romance that young adult romance is really not gonna be for me anymore. And I've tried to read this before and it didn't really grab me, DNF'd it. But I don't really like to give up on books at the first DNF, especially if I'm not DNFing it because I hate it, I'm just DNFing it because I can't really get into it. Maybe that could just be the vibe or the time period or something like that. So I try to give books at least 2 tries unless they've committed some kind of heinous crime in my mind, and that's why I'm DNFing them. So this follows our main character Jenny, and she is like an award-winning classical musician of some kind, and then she meets a singer from a K-pop band and they have this like one unforgettable night in Los Angeles. She moves to South Korea to go to this kind of elite music school, and she meets this guy again at that music school, and that is how she finds out that he is actually part of this big K-pop band. It seems really fun, cutesy, probably perfect for a teenager, and if you're into K-pop then you're probably gonna love this. I am not into K-pop at all, but the vibes seem kind of immaculate, and I'm hoping the vibes will carry me through despite the fact that I'm really not into K-pop. But we'll see how this goes. Worst, like, it will be such an easy breezy read that's kind of perfect for the summertime. How many pages is this? It's 330 pages, so we'll be fine. It will be fine. And then because summer is just the time for contemporaries, it is just the rule that you read romance and contemporaries in the summer. I didn't make it up. It just is how it is. So the next book on this TBR is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. I have had this on my TBR since the book came out, and I still have not got to it yet. This is a young adult academic rivals to lovers set in like a camping wilderness situation. I've enjoyed Talia Hibbert's Brown Sisters trilogy. Like, genuinely, what could go wrong here? Again, another very short, fun little young adult book. Whilst I do still think that young adult, not really my vibes anymore. I trust Talia Hibbert. I do, and I think she would know that a lot of people would read her books from the Brown Sisters trilogy, so I think she would know how to make that good for all of us. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about this. Again, I've read the first chapter of this one before. It was really good, really engaging, really enjoyed it. Genuinely really, really, really excited to finally get to this one. I don't know why it's taken me so long. Probably because if I have the choice between adult and young adult, I'm gonna gravitate more towards the adult romance picks on my TBR. But guys, it's happened. I don't have any more adult contemporary romances on my TBR. And whilst I do not have any adult contemporary romances on my TBR, I do have one adult historical romance on my TBR, and I am pretty excited. Again, I just need the romance books and I'm really running out of them, so we're getting to the real like backlist of my physical TBR with some of these picks. But I'm still kind of excited about it, and this book is To Marry and to Meddle by Martha Waters. I purchased this book because I really wanted to do a deep dive into the marriage of convenience trope. Marriage of convenience, fake dating, under the same umbrella in my mind, and easily take the top spot of like my favourite romance tropes. So I ended up not filming that video purely just because I didn't have the time, and now I've read, this is the last book that I purchased for that video to be read, so I would have to find new books, but I'm still kind of interested in doing it. But anyway, I purchased this book for that video that I wanted to do them. This is a Regency romance, which I feel like Marriage of Convenience, it's really difficult to find a way for it to make sense in a contemporary setting. I have seen some of them done well. King of Wrath, I'm looking at you. But for the most part, it works best in a Regency historical romance type of setting, and so I'm very interested to get to this. I think it will be fun. It's got one of the cutesy cartoon covers that is probably very deceiving. I do really enjoy a Regency romance every now and then. They're definitely not something that I reach for all of the time, but sometimes they really do hit the spot. And actually, Regency romances were the very first romances that I read, so what do you know? So this follows our main characters, Emily and Julian. Julian has a pretty bad reputation, and Emily needs to escape her father and his debts and all of his problems, so they enter a marriage of convenience to get over a lot of these problems. I will say that Marriage of Convenience is extra spicy if it's enemies to lovers. They have definite like differing opinions, and they're probably not close or friends by any means. But enemies to lovers is a fantasy thing, which is why fantasy Marriage of Convenience enemies to lovers is kind of like the best thing to ever exist. Serpent and dove, basically. But no, I'm excited about this nonetheless. I think it will be fun. I'm looking forward to updating you on whether this is a good example of this trope, because my god, have I read a lot of them now, because they are my favourite. If you need any fake dating Marriage of Convenience recommendations, I am your girl. And then the last book that I have on this June TBR is the first book on my overall physical TBR list. That is how long this book has been on my physical TBR. I genuinely think that I bought this for a birthday shopping trip 2 years ago when I first started this channel, probably. Wait, no, this channel's nearly it's nearly this channel's birthday, guys. This channel will be 3 years old in a couple weeks. Not the point. Anyway, I have had this book on my TBR for possibly the longest of most of the books on my physical TBR, and that is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I love this book. I think it is absolutely beautiful to look at, and I have seen pretty positive reviews of this book. Only problem being, I have an issue with series, so I didn't want to start this because I didn't want to be in the middle of another series. I also then made the switch from being primarily a fantasy reader to being primarily a romance reader, which was the best decision that I've ever made to bring me joy in anything that I've ever done. but that's why this book ended up not being read for so long. This is a fantasy, I think I bought this in the young adult section, so I think it's young adult. It's a young adult fantasy that follows alternative timelines, I believe, and we follow two women. Riel and Eliana fight in a cosmic war that spans millennia. Their stories intersect, and the shocking connections between them ultimately determine the fate of their world and for each other. We follow a queen and a bounty hunter and their different stories across time and how they intersect. Very Queen of the Tearling vibes, which is a young adult fantasy that I loved. So I have high hopes for this. I do think I'm in a point now where I'm slightly better at finishing series and having that discipline to say, no, we're gonna finish this series now. So a lot of the books, not a lot, books that I want to get for my birthday shopping trip this year are the sequels to this book if I've read it and decided that I want to continue on by the time I do my birthday shopping trip. And I definitely want to get the books 2 and book 3 in the Serpent and Dove series, because I recently read that and I really enjoyed it, and my thoughts will be in my May wrap up. But I'm getting a lot better at finishing series, and then Serpent and Dove and Furyborn would be the only 2 series that I'm in the middle of at the moment. That feels quite manageable and okay, so I'm trusting myself to read this book in June. And honestly, I just think it's really, really pretty, and I would like to have all of them displayed. And sometimes I am in the mood for a fantasy. Sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. And so here are all of the books on my TBR for June, and Girl, Woman, Other is facing the wrong way, but it's on there. It is on there. It's kind of, in length of TBR wise, I think very manageable. I don't think that I will necessarily get to all of these books specifically, just because I'm sure that when I buy books for my birthday, I will read those ones sooner. I'm trying to be better at not only reading the new books and reading some of the older ones too, but I can just see that happening, especially as I am rapidly running out of romance on my TBR. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But this amount of books seems manageable, and I'm pretty happy with the list of options that I've cultivated, and we'll just see what happens basically. So if you have enjoyed this TBR and you have read any of the books on this list, then A, do let me know your thoughts on these books down in the comment section. I would love to hear your reviews of them and things I should be aware of before going in. And then B, do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. It is that red button, you know what you're looking for. I upload every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday, and you do not want to miss my May wrap up, which I have already teased, and then also the June wrap up at the end of the month, so you can see whether I liked these books, whether I read them, fun things like that. Also, birthday book haul, probably going to be on its way to you at some point, so you know, you might want to stick around for that. Also, do please feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter so that you can see what I'm reading and how I'm reviewing it in real time. And then you don't have to wait till the end of the month to see my thoughts on a specific book. It will just be there on my Instagram for you. So, you know, things to consider. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. You're enjoying everything you are reading, and there are no reading slumps in your future. And I will see you for my next video. Bye guys.